So my name is Shelley Reed. Thank you so much for joining us today. You are here for the Excel for Everyone Basics course, and we have Jesse Greco and Kelly Shaw-Sutherland from Just Tech who have developed a really great curriculum for today's session and for this series that we're going to do on Excel in over the next few months. So I am going to kick it off over to Kelly and Jesse, and I hope that it's something that you enjoy. I also, should I go ahead and share the files with everybody?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay.
We have a couple of files for everybody to use as we do this session. Is my screen still sharing? I just want to make sure.
You are good to go.
Okay. I'll start us off. Hi everyone, I'm Kelly Shaw-Sutherland, like Shelley said. I am the Deputy Director of Consulting and Project Management here at Just Tech. I spent I've been here for about 2 years. Prior to that, I was at Legal Aid of Nebraska for about 8.5 years or so as their Director of Research and Evaluation. And prior to that, I was in public health for about 10 years doing public health research and evaluation and various different things. So I've had a lot of time to spend with Excel and I've had my own frustrations and everything with it. So really excited to have everyone join us for this and hopefully help you with some of the things that are boggling, I guess. I will hand it over to Jesse.
Hi everyone, my name is Jesse Greco and I'm a consultant with Just Tech. I got introduced to the world of legal aid and data actually as a public ally in Wilmington, Delaware, where I did a lot of outreach work with canvassers, and we actually used a spreadsheet to manage our canvassing. And I really wish that we had had a course like this, so that I had found something like this to help me, because that would have saved quite a bit of time. So I'm excited to show everyone what we've put together today.
Thanks, Jesse. So before we get started, one of the things that was always difficult for me when I'm learning something like this is you can, of course, go out to the internet and you can take courses, you can, whatever, there's like little tutorials for different things. If it wasn't about what I was specifically trying to figure out the issue about, it just became a little bit more difficult for me. So what we tried to do here for you all today is the documents. You should have an Excel file workbook so that you can follow along and do these things with us as we're going. There's also an instructional workbook that has the kind of instructions for you. And what Jesse and I have put together for you is it's fake data that we've used for other things. It might not be in the same format that your case management systems do, or even the same types of data, but it should be familiar enough, hopefully, for many of you that you won't get totally lost. So we tried to make the setting a little bit familiar. Right here, what you're going to see on this is the data that we put together, and we're going to be going through each of these tabs in order here. And I'm going to throw it over to Jesse to kind of get us set up for the rest of it. Feel free to put comments and questions in the chat, and both Jesse and Shelley are going to keep an eye on that. It looks like we do have some questions about accessing the materials. Go ahead, Jesse.
Yeah, so as Kelly said, to bring these Excel skills to life, we're going to be following along with the story of a fictional legal aid organization that we're calling Misty Meadows Legal Aid, or MMLA. So Misty Meadows is a mid-sized civil legal services provider with offices spread across rural and suburban counties. And like many legal aid agencies, they juggle a wide variety of funder requirements: quarterly program updates, annual outcomes reports, financial summaries, demographic breakdowns, and data requests that always seem to arrive at the busiest moments. Recently, MMLA kicked off a new data reporting improvement project, and their goal is pretty straightforward. They want to make their exported case management system data easier to clean, easier to understand, and easier to turn into funder-ready reports. So the team has pulled together case data from their system, rows and rows of client information, outcomes, funding codes, and financial details that you're seeing on Kelly's screen here. And now they need to transform it into clear, accurate summaries that their funders expect. So throughout today's session, we're going to walk alongside Misty Meadows as they encounter common data challenges and learn practical, beginner-friendly ways to handle them in Excel. Each skill we demonstrate is going to connect to a real-life scenario that many of you have likely experienced. And with that, let's join Misty Meadows as they begin their data journey. And we're going to start off with the first skill here, transpose.
I'm
So
making it bigger. Is this big enough? I saw some folks on there asking about that. So let me know if it's not big enough. Perfect.
good on my end. So at Misty Meadows, the quarterly reporting deadline is tomorrow, and staff are scrambling to finalize a simple table showing the number of clients served by county. But when they got their data export, they found that the counties appear across one long row instead of a column in the format the funder requests. So with this transpose skill, we're going to see how in seconds we can make a column in the format that we expect, and Kelly's going to show us exactly how to do this.
Thanks, Jesse. Okay, so like Jesse said, we're just taking a sample of the data from the dummy data on the first page. So if you wanted to do this in a bigger way, you could. So the first thing that you're going to do when you want to transpose data is we have it formatted so that it looks similar to how it's set up here. So technically these should be our headers and these are our rows of data. So what I'm going to do is just put my cell here. I'm going to highlight the first cell. I'm going to drag it over and just highlight all of the data. And then you can right click and do copy. You can do Control C for copy if you want. But in this instance, I'm just going to do the right click. And then I'm going to right click again over here. And you see this little guy right here, the little transpose guy. It looks like an arrow up and down. You just click that and it puts it like this. And so now your data should be set up in a fashion that you can work with it. Now, if you've got, that's kind of the main deal. It can get more complicated because this is a kind of an easy way to look at it, but this gives you the basics of how to do it. Any questions about that? This is a fairly easy one, so hopefully we're gonna try to step it up a little bit, but let us know. All right. Okay. Looks like we're okay.
All right. So for our next skill, we're going to look at freezing panes and hiding and unhiding columns. And some context here, at Misty Meadows, the housing unit is reviewing a year's worth of case data. And this is a significantly large spreadsheet with lots of rows and columns. And as staff are scrolling, the column headers are vanishing. And when they scroll across, important fields like the case ID, the client ID are running off of the screen. So we're going to show you these two simple tools that are going to eliminate this confusion and allow you to freeze some of these columns so that they're always in your view no matter where you are on the sheet. And Kelly's going to demonstrate this for us now.
Thanks, Jesse. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. There's a few different ways that you can do some of this stuff, but we're going to start out on the home screen up here on our ribbon. And so you're just kind of in here. And there's going to be three different things really that we want to do. We want to make it so that we can keep our headers in place, if maybe that's the only thing we want to do. Maybe we want to keep just a single column in place, or maybe we want to do both. So we're going to walk through all three. So the first thing we're going to want to do is from the home screen, we're going to freeze the header column. And this is important too, because if you're looking at data, especially if there's lots of columns, it can be hard to remember which column represented which unless you are very, very familiar with the data. So what we're going to do is we're going to go from the home screen or home tab here, and we're going to click on the view tab right here. And you're going to see this window area here. You're going to see freeze panes, and you're going to skip that top one. You're going to see these three options. So we're going to go through all of them. So you're just going to click on freeze top row. So now you should be able to see everything on that that's in your thing. But what you will notice is that if you scroll over to the right, you still you aren't able to say you wanted to keep your IDs the same or something. So what we're going to do is we're going to unfreeze. You have to go back to this if you want to take it off, and you just say unfreeze panes. And so now it's like how we had it before. So now I want to keep this column in place. So I'm just going to go back up here, and I'm going to say freeze the first column. And so now I can do this. And so that means, okay, I can say for a specific area, for a particular person or a case, I can look at different things. But what if you need to do both things that we just did? And that's often what I run into. So I'm going to unfreeze our panes again. And the key to this is to put you highlight the cell underneath and to the right of where you want the row or rows or column or columns to be frozen in place. So in this case, I just want the first column or the top row. So what I'm going to do is go in here. I've got it in cell B2 right now. So you come in here and I'm just going to click on this top one that says freeze panes. And so now I can go like this, or I can go like that. Now, sometimes you might have like multiple columns you want to see or whatever. So you can go unfreeze panes and you can go, you can do multiple things. It's wherever you put the cell. So just to kind of give you a little bit more context. So see how now it stays there and now it freezes those other two cells there. Does that help? Everybody got that?
I want to do it.
Awesome. Okay.
I like the thumbs up in the chat.
Woohoo! Hopefully it'll save you some work for some things. So I'll go ahead and unfreeze all of that. Okay. So I think we're going to move on to the next one unless there's any question. Oh, wait. Did you put the link for where the recording will be in the chat? Yes. Well, Shelly will make sure she gets the recording out to everyone. Okay. I'm going to go over to this and you can set us up, Jesse.
Sounds good. So a funder has reached out to Misty Meadows with a familiar request. They would like a breakdown of closed cases for this quarter sorted by legal, problem area, and outcome. Now, the raw data export is a little overwhelming and cases of all types here are mixed together. So we could read through this row by row, but that would take hours to do this manually. So instead, we're going to figure out how to sort the spreadsheet so that all of our housing cases are grouped together, and then we can do this on multiple levels so that it's filtered to exactly what the funder is requesting. So what once felt like a huge project that would take hours of staff time is now going to be able to be done in just a couple of minutes. And Kelly's going to show us how to easily sort and filter to answer questions just like this funder is asking.
Thanks, Jesse. I just realized that I skipped hide and unhide. So after I'm done with this, I will go back to it. That was my fault. Okay, so we're going to start with sorting and filtering. So with the freezing and because my screen is so big, I'm going to do what we just learned just so that I can keep stuff in my own view here. I'm going to do a freeze pane here just to keep the stuff in view here. So I'm just going to do the top row. So I'm going to come over here and if there is time, I'm going to show you guys a few things to make some of this stuff a little bit easier because my screen is so wide right now. I just want to make it so that I can still see everything. I will go over some of this if, like I said, we have some time. So, okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to look at sorting. So right now we have this set up. I'm going to take this off. The tab that you're going to work on for this is you're going to be in the data tab and you're going to be living here. I'm going to take this off. I'm going to do this for everyone, Jesse, just in case. Okay. Okay. So this is what you should be seeing on your screen. I took the filtering off here. This is where you're going to live. Okay. So this is our table. We're going to start in cell A1, and then you're going to left click, drag over, and then you can use your, if you click Control Shift down an arrow, at least on a PC, you can highlight the entire table or you can drag to highlight the entire table. So as long as you have your entire table set up or highlighted like that, the first thing you're going to do, we want to begin with sorting. So we're going to come in here and you can see you've got the ability to add, delete levels. It comes automatically set up when you go into it to begin with, as if you haven't done any of this. So for some reason, this is automatically showing that I already have headers. But normally, if you don't have it clicked on, you should have to click on My Data Has Headers if it's not clicked in. For some reason, it's already doing it on mine. So in here, what we want to do is we want to look at the legal problem code, and we want to look at, and we just want to sort all of them in order by the cell values, which are text. So it's going to order it, in this case, A to Z. To me, that's the easiest. You could do it the other way around if you wanted to, but that's just how I would normally do it. So we're going to go into this sort by drop down, and we're going to look for legal problem code, and we're going to come in here and we're going to click OK. So now, I know this is a little bit dense here. So now what you should see in your legal problem code column is you should see everything in here sorted alphabetically. So we've got federally subsidized housing. We'll scroll down a little bit more. You should see mobile homes. You should see private landlord tenant, and so on. So let's say we don't want to just understand or look at just the different like groups of legal problem codes. Maybe within those legal problem codes, we want to know what the case close reasons are. So what we're going to do is highlight our table again in the exact same way that we did before, and we're going to go back to sort. Now, because we've already set up the legal problem code, we already have our first level. So we're going to add an additional level here by clicking on the add level, and then we're going to say, okay, we want to now sort things by the case close reason. Because this is another text field, we've got the cell values, and we're going to order it A to Z again, because again, that's just my personal preference, but you can do it in other ways. So I'm going to click OK. And now what you can see here is you've got your federally subsidized housing. Now you've got your case close reasons, but if you scroll down, what you're going to see in here is your case close reasons are now organized alphabetically for each of your legal problem code categories. Makes it a little bit easier to look at the stuff. So you can see here now where the legal problem codes switches from federally subsidized housing to mobile homes. Now it starts over again with that case close reason of client withdrew. If there weren't any client withdrew on this particular legal problem code, it wouldn't show up. It would just go to the next one. Okay. Is there any questions about that? Because I'm going to switch to filtering, which is going to take this and make it that much better. Okay. Stop me if so. So what I'm going to do, how do you select the whole table? Okay, I'll go back and do that. Let me scroll up here. So you can do it in one of two ways.
Kelly, we have a question of how to select the whole table.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to show here again. So there's two ways you can do that. So you can, I'm holding my left cursor on my mouse, and you can drag, you just kind of keep holding it and you drag and you highlight the whole thing like this, like we've probably all done. But as you can see, the table's kind of long and that takes a bit of time. So what I normally do is you hold down and you start in the cell where you want to highlight. So in this case, I'm on A1, and I say Control Shift on my keyboard. I'm holding them both down. And then on my keyboard again, I have the right arrow. I click that. It takes me over to all of the end of the columns. And then I'm going to hit I'm still holding my Shift and Control button, and I'm going to hit the down arrow. And now my entire table is highlighted. Did you get that? Does that work? Cool.
I just want to point out that if people are having trouble seeing your whole spreadsheet, I would suggest they change their view
Okay.
using the little icon at the top right of the screen and change it to standard. That puts all of the people at the top, and then you can see the whole Excel spreadsheet.
I wasn't sure. My screen's a little bit wider and bigger, so I never know exactly.
Well, it's a view, and if you've got people there, then
right, exactly. So, okay. Mary, which part did you need us to say again about how to highlight the table or how to change your view?
I think that was for highlighting the table.
Highlight the table. Okay, we're going to do it one more time. Okay. I'm going to go back up to the top here. So we're going to start in cell A1. So see how I've got it highlighted there. And then I've got my mouse. I'm clicking on the left button here. So I'm going to hold that down the whole time. I don't let it go. Okay, guys. So I'm going to pull over to the right side that way. The other way you can do it is just keep in the cell, and you're going to hit Control Shift on your keyboard. and then you're going to hit, you keep holding it, and then you're going to click the right arrow, and that takes you over to your header, the end of the table. Then you're going to highlight, you're going to keep it there. You're going to press Control and Shift on your keyboard again, and the down arrow. Whoops, hold on. Didn't like that. 1 second. So Control Shift and then the down arrow. So now you've got the whole table highlighted again. Did that work? Good. All right. We can come back to it if that's still confusing. So put a pin in it. I'll keep probably doing that because that's kind of it'll help us keep things moving forward. Okay. So we just did the sorting. Now what we want to do is I'm going to resort this real fast so that I'm going to take all this stuff off because I want to show you what the filtering can do. And so I'm going to take all of this off, but I'm going to add a level and I'm just going to resort it. You don't have to do this, but I want to show you what it looks like. I'm doing open date, and this is doing oldest to newest because this is a different, it's doing it based off of the cell value. Okay. So I'm going to reorder it this way. So now my whole table is highlighted. For filtering, I want to do this again. So again, one more time, we're doing Control Shift, right arrow, and then down arrow. And you just keep holding Control Shift the whole time you do that. So I'm still on my data tab. We're going to click filter. When I click filter like that, do you see these little arrows that come up? These are going to kind of do a combination of filtering and sorting if you would like at any point in time. Okay. So what we're trying to do with the filtering, we're going to kind of do the exact same thing. We're going to look at the legal problem code and we're going to look at the case close reason. So first, what I want to do, I just want to show you real fast that you can do sorting here. So I've got my filters on and I'm going to sort because we did this before by legal problem code. So I'm just going to do sort A to Z. So see how that sorts like that. But what I want to do now is I want to look and see for my case close reason. Maybe I want to be able to look at a certain thing. Maybe I want to sort by this as well. Now, keep in mind, this is a little bit different because you don't see like what you did first or second. So I know personally that I just sorted by the legal problem code. And now I'm over here by the case close reason. And I can sort it, but I don't have to. But I'm going to go ahead and sort this like that. And now it's going to show me where I've got it sorted here and here. If I go to sort, it's going to say that I've only got it sorted here, right? But it didn't change this back because I already had it sorted before based from here. So that's kind of the difference. If you want to do multi-level sort, you have to really do it here, okay? But with these filtering buttons here, you can look at one thing at a time. I like this for a variety of reasons. You can see what options are in this column here. Sometimes if it's too long, you can't see all of them, but you can like scroll down. If it's too long, it'll show you that. But what we want to do is go to just the federally subsidized housing. So what we want to click on is select all like that, and it unselects everything. It's easier to do that if you have especially a long list. This one isn't terrible. You could go uncheck one at a time. But we select all so that it unchecks everything, and we are going to go to federally subsidized housing like this. And so now you can't really tell because we've got quite a few federally subsidized housing ones. But we want to say we only want to look at a particular close reason. I think we don't have like a specific one in our, oh, we do. We're going to try to go to resolve outside of litigation. So I've done the same thing that I did over here. I've clicked on the down arrow. I'm going to select all, and then I'm going to look at the resolved outside of litigation. Why is this helpful? Here you can see all of the cases that have a legal problem code of federally subsidized housing. Now you're looking at your kind of subset of cases that were resolved outside of litigation. And based on whatever other data is in your data set, you could look at things, maybe look for some outliers, look for things that, maybe seem a little bit suspect or whatever. There's a variety of reasons why you might want to do it, but those are just like some that I've used it for. It's usually kind of like a data cleaning thing for me. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay, I'm going to say no news is good news. Oh, wait, there might be another message here. Oh, okay. Okay, there's some information about downloading, exporting stuff. Okay, so pay attention to that if you use Legal Server. I'm gonna real quick, Jesse, before we go back to basic formulas.
Back to
I'm gonna
hiding
go
and
back.
unhiding.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry I skipped this before, guys. I just want to show you real quick hiding and unhiding. This can be super helpful. You see on the screen, we have so many columns here. And before we were showing you kind of freezing panes and how you can make things go, back and forth. So I've taken that off of here from where we were at. So if you don't want to freeze panes, maybe it's still like too much data. Maybe you only want to look at the case ID, or maybe you only want to look at a certain thing. But to keep in context with what we're actually looking at, we're going to try, we don't want to look at, in this instance, we don't want to look at columns E through G. So, okay, I'm going to do this. So you see the letters above your columns, and you see my arrow, hopefully, and you can see how it kind of like points down. So I'm going to highlight that whole thing that highlights the entire column. So when I highlight that, and I have my mouse again here, and I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to keep it on it's important, keep it on your letters here. So I'm going to hold down my left button on my mouse, and I'm going to drag over to column G. So now I've got all three of those columns highlighted, and I'm going to go back to, you can click on any of the ones that are highlighted. I think you can do it down here, but sometimes it's wonky. So I just, in practice, do it this way. So now instead of left clicking on my mouse, I'm going to right click, and I'm going to get my menu items here. And you see here, I've just got hide. So I'm going to go hide. I think you can do it somewhere else, but that's the easiest way that I know how to do it. So we can go back if there's another way that you want to try to look at it. But now if you want to unhide those columns because you're done, maybe you're like meeting with somebody and there's certain columns you don't want them to see either. That would be another reason. The main thing is you're going to do exactly like I just told you. You're going to click on the column. You can tell, I don't know if you can see it. It's probably not that big, but you'll see how it goes from D to H. You're like you'll see like it's like a little thicker compared to what the lines look like between the columns. So you're going to click on the D. So that's the column before the first hidden column. And you're going to keep clicking on your left mouse button, and you're going to drag over to H. So now what's technically highlighted is columns D through H. And so I'm going to right click on my mouse again, like I did before, and I'm going to unhide here. And now all of my columns are back. It's a little trick. If somebody sends you a spreadsheet and you see that it skips letters, that means columns are hidden. If they've got it security locked or something like that, then you shouldn't be able to unlock it or unhide it, but just saying. Little trick there. Maybe I shouldn't share that with people, but it is. All right. Any questions about that? Cool. All right. Now, Jesse, I'm going to hit it back over to you for basic formulas.
All right. So at Misty Meadows, their eviction prevention program distributes small settlement funds to help clients stay safely housed. And this quarter, the program manager needs 3 numbers for their funder. They need the total dollars distributed, the average amount per client, and the number of clients that were helped. So the raw data file has all of the individual client payments, but adding them up by hand would take forever and would almost certainly include a mistake. So instead, we're going to use a few simple formulas to instantly calculate the totals, averages, and counts. And these basics are the foundations for more advanced formulas in Excel as well, and they dramatically reduce the risk of misrepresenting your data. So I'm going to hand it to Kelly now, who's going to demonstrate these basic formulas.
Cool. If there's one thing that was kind of the bane of my existence when I first started out with Excel, that made me so scared, and I took research methods in college using Excel, it was so scary and I hated it and it was just awful. So you get down some of these basic things about the function, how these formulas work, and I promise you things will come a little bit easier from here. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, like Jesse said, is we're going to concentrate on this client settlement fund column here. And you'll see that we'll continue with this a little bit into some of the pivot table stuff and things too, if we have time to get into that. So we're looking at our client settlement column here. First thing with any basic formula, or any formula really, it doesn't matter what it is, you always have to start with an equal sign. So if I wanted to say like 1 + 1, it's not going to do anything because I don't have an equal sign in front of it. But if I put my equal sign in front of it, boom, I've got something done on this. Now I've already got this formatted so that it'll come in as dollars. But maybe you don't have it set up that way. That's another thing that we can touch on if there's time at the end. So I'm going to clear this because what I want to show you is this. So what I want to do is I want to know what the sum of this entire column is. So I'm going to say equal sign, and then I'm going to click in, or first I'm going to write or type sum. You're going to see a list of functions come up. And you can either you don't have to actually click on it. You've typed sum. You can either click on it like this, or you could have just done the parenthesis sign like that. But once you've got it, a parenthesis sign like that, then you'll see a list of stuff come up like this. And this is telling you if I wanted to, I could click in each cell individually one by one. I just have to separate it by a comma. But that's not what we're going to do. With a long list like this, it's way easier to just click in the first cell. Oh, shoot. This one is a little weird. Okay, hold on. I'm going to do this a little bit different. Let me do one thing really quick. It's set up as a table, and that makes it a little bit wonky. I thought we fixed this, but we may not have. So just give me 1 second. I'm just going to do something so that it's not as wonky for you guys. When it's inserted as a table, it's a whole other ballgame, guys. It's just, I'm just going to take this part off. Okay, I'm just going to do this real quick. Let's see, I'll just bold this. So it's not going to look exactly the same on your thing, but promise it's better because now it won't have that stuff in there. Okay, so we're going to go back to here. So we're going to start over. We're going to do equal sign, and we're going to come over here and we're going to click in our first cell. See how that's different. So now you can see that I am in C2. So I've got C2, and I want to do the entire thing. Oh, I forgot to start with my sum, guys. Hold on 1 second. Whoops. See, if you click on it too soon before you finish it, it's going to give you an error. Okay, so now I've got equal sum parenthesis. I'm going to click over here on this. So I've got C2. I can, if I know how many rows I have, I could just do colon and then whatever the number is, like C, whatever it is. But I'm going to not do that. I'm going to come over here. I'm in this cell. Whoops. And I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to hit my Control-Shift button like we were doing before. And I'm going to hit my down button. And so now it's highlighting all of the data in that column, just like we were doing before. You see how these things are kind of building on each other? So now I'm going to close my parenthesis here, and I'm going to get the total for that column is a little over 1.5 million, give or take. Okay, so the key to this is really what we just did. It's that equal sign. It's knowing what you want to type. For me, I put in, if I am doing something, I'm going to write what it is I'm trying to do. So here I'm trying to find the sum. Now we want to try to do the average and the count. So we're going to do exactly like we did. These other two are exactly like sum, same steps, same everything, except it's a different, we're just going to type average instead of sum or count instead of sum. So we're going to do equal sign. We're going to write average. I type it because I just think it's faster. And I'm going to do my open parentheses. I'm going to click on my cell, C2 again, going to click Control-Shift down arrow, just like I did before. And now I'm going to do the close parenthesis and see it highlights up here in our formula bar. And I'm going to come back up, and you can see now of all of the clients that we have in this table, out of all of those, on average, each client is getting a little over $1,500 in the client settlement. Okay, so maybe we want to know how many settlements were actually provided. So this is asking like how many rows do we have here? So I would do equal sign count, close parenthesis or open parentheses rather. I'm going to click on C2 like I did before. I'm going to click on Control Shift down like I did before, close parenthesis and enter. And then you will see 1,003 clients have a total amount of 1.5 million settlement refunds. On average, that's about 1,500, a little over 1,500 per client. Now, another interesting thing that you can do is if I have highlighted this column of data here is, and I want to make sure that you see this. So right now you see where I've got all of these filled out here. You can see down here, I don't know if you can see on my screen, but you have to have your column of data highlighted. You're going to see average, count, and sum. So you can see that if you look at this, it's the sum matches what we did up there with the formula. The count matches the total number, and the average should match the other thing. Now, if I change the currency, it's going to make it or change it to currency. I just went to the number and I did the drop down to get currency. Now you can see when you look at those that your average is now in dollars, your count is a number, and your sum of the total is also in dollars. Okay, I did that kind of fast, so let me know if I lost anybody there. Those are the basics though. If you get that part down for doing formulas, the rest of it should come. Should we go on to pivot tables?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're ready.
All right, go ahead and hook us up.
All right, so now we're going to look at pivot tables. And at Misty Meadows, the executive director needs a quick summary, and they want to know what is the veteran status of our client base in each county. So again, our spreadsheet has tons and tons of rows, and this is too many to summarize manually. And we could try to sort and subtotal using the functions that we've just learned, but that could get messy fast as well. So a pivot table solves this problem. With just a few clicks, you're able to create a clean table showing the veteran status of clients by county. And this looks much more polished, professional, and funder ready. And Kelly's going to go ahead and show us how to build this very easy pivot table.
Okay, hopefully everybody can see my screen, but so that I can make the pivot table on the same screen, I'm going to move some stuff around and kind of just make this a little bit smaller for a second. So I have the instructions up on my list. I'm just going to move this over for my purposes, but you should have it on your workbook. Or hopefully it'll move. Okay, go over there. Okay. Let's see. Okay. I just drag this guy down here a little bit. I just need it out of the way. Okay, sorry. Hopefully you guys can see this. I need space over here so that you can see it. Normally when I do a pivot table, I will do it on another sheet, but so that we are keeping it clean and you guys can see stuff, I want you to be able to see the pivot table and the data at the same time. But you can do it as a new sheet. So I'll just make sure that I'm on the right thing here. Okay. When you want to do a pivot table, you need to make sure that you highlight your entire table. Oh, is this going to be a table again? It's a table. I hope not. Hold on, let me just check one thing. I'm just testing it. I will go over this. Okay. Okay. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. I'm just testing it. Just make sure. I just want to make sure. All right. So we're going to highlight the entire table because this is the data set with which you want to do a pivot table and find out information about it. So like we've done on the prior exercises, we're going to start at the top of our table in cell A1, and we're going to do Control Shift. You're going to hold it down, do your right arrow, and then you're going to do your down arrow, and now you've highlighted your whole table. So we're on the Home tab, and we want to say Insert Pivot Table. Okay, so you can't just click on it like this, and you should get something like this. You can It'll give you the table range that it has set up. It's automatically going to suggest putting it on a new sheet, which I said before is, what we would want to do. But in this instance, we want to do existing sheet. So I'm going to click existing sheet, and then I'm going to click on the little arrow guy here. I'm going to make sure that I'm kind of towards the top here. And I'm just going to click in a cell that's away, but sort of gives me some room at the top, just in case there's any filters or anything you would ever want to do. I would never just go to the first top cell if you're going to do it on the same sheet. Really, even if it's on a new sheet, I wouldn't do it that way either. It's always going to be somewhere down, because we won't probably touch on it here today, but it has to do with if you add like filters and things like that. But anyway, so I've got that part done. So once I've selected the cell, I'm going to click that little down arrow again. I can go over this if there's time, but I'm going to click on add this data to the data model. The reason you want to do that has to do, at least in my experience, with if you're looking at count versus count distinct. But if there's time, we can go back to that, or we can follow up with it. So I have everything in there, and I'm going to click OK. And so now I have, it's being weird. That's weird. Okay. So now I have my fields here. This looks a little bit different than it did before, but hopefully it's okay. Let's see here. So I am going to choose, I want to look at my county and my veteran status and my case ID are the fields that I'm looking at. So if I scroll over a little bit, I've got my county, my veteran status, and what was the other one? The case ID. So first thing I want to do is I want to look at counties. So I'm going to drag county. You can see over here, this is your field list. And this tells you the table that you're looking at and what variables or what fields you have to work with. So I'm going to take this county and I'm going to drag it down here to rows. So right now I've got filters, columns, rows. So rows means what do I want to look at on the rows? Columns, what do I want to look at sort of as the headers, right? And then filters, like I said, if you leave room up there, we could filter by different things if we wanted to. So right now, I just have my list of counties listed. But let's say I want to look at the county and by veteran status. So this is what we would call like a basic crosstab. So I'm going to drag my vet status over to my columns. But you can see right now we don't like have anything populated for data. So we want to look at like how the count of how many clients there are. And this is where your case IDs and your client IDs. So just remember, when you're working with legal aid data in most of your case management systems, clients can have more than one case. And so this is where, looking at count distinct or something like that might be important. With a case ID, you don't necessarily have to do that, because you shouldn't see a case ID duplicate in most instances, unless you're looking at like outcomes or something like that. But in this instance, in our world, we don't have any duplicates in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this case ID, because that is what tells us that's our kind of like key that tells us how many of all of this other stuff there really is. So if we want to look at stuff by certain variables, we have to have one constant that we can count, like how many rows there are. And in this case, it's the case ID.
You'll sometimes hear this called a unique identifier too.
Yeah, absolutely, Jesse. That's totally right. So we're going to drag this down to our values, and it's automatically going to say count of case ID. So as you know from the prior tab where we were counting how many rows we had, we know that we have 103 rows. And so what this is showing us is how many of those rows or how many of those cases are in Kent County, how many of them are a vet and how many are not a vet, and how many of them are a vet. And then it tells you the total between the two and gives you the breakdown just by county. So if you wanted to do something pretty basic like that, you could. It takes what we were doing with the basic formulas and just kind of restructures it into something that might make sense. You can come in here and you can change like label IDs. So you could just type over this and give it something. This would be your veteran status. Your row labels would be like county if you wanted to change that. You could take this out, or you could say, leave that there, and it tells you that it's the count of your case ID. If, am I doing okay on time? I think.
Got about 15 minutes.
Okay. Does that make sense to everyone? I think that's one of the more complicated things, but it's also one of the basic things that you could use to help some things, or, like look at stuff in a basic way. Okay, cool. Lots of thumbs up. Awesome. Okay, should we go to VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP?
Yep.
All right. If there's time, we can kind of go back and do a few other things.
All right.
I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and I'm going to let you set us up.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So here we're looking at an export full of somewhat cryptic funding codes. And unfortunately for their report, Misty Meadows funder requires the full names of these funding codes, not the shorthand codes. And now they could go in and type these in manually, but again, this is going to take a ton of time, a ton of staff resources. So instead, we are going to create a small reference sheet in one column with the full description in the next. And using these V and X lookup formulas, we're going to show you how to automatically fill in these funding code description columns. And this is going to ensure consistency with your funder terminology and save you a ton of time. And
Yeah.
Kelly is going to go ahead and show us.
All right. So we wanted to have a little bit of fun with this. So anybody who wants to put first come, first serve, what do you want LSC to stand for? What do you want RTR to stand for? And what do you want UWM to stand for? And we'll just put those in. And
you can put them in the chat. You can come off and say it.
Bane of your existence, whatever. Okay. I love it. Thank you for staying with the
on theme. Yeah.
Yeah, staying on theme. I love it. So we've got United Way of Misty Meadows, right to relax. I dig it. I want that. I want the right to relax. Little silly cats. I also dig that. Nice. Okay. Love the creativity, guys. Awesome. Thank you. Okay. So now we've got this kind of set up. Now, normally, again, this is another thing. You can leave it if you have a setup like this. You could do it on the same page like this. Normally, what I do is I have like another sheet. You could do this with another workbook, even if you wanted to. It really just, I do find it a little bit more complicated when you've got multiple workbooks. I find it the easiest to just have a separate sheet for like lookups or something like that. But this kind of, for our example, hopefully keeps us in the clear here. So what we're going to do first is VLOOKUP is going to look at just like kind of think about it looking from, horizontally, right? An XLOOKUP kind of looks both vertically and horizontally. So we're going to start with the VLOOKUP. That's the thing that's been around longer. So using what we've learned about basic formulas, because everything in Excel is kind of the functions, it's based off of sort of setting up a formula. So we're going to do our equal sign again. We're going to type VLOOKUP. You could click on it if you wanted to. Again, we have to do the parenthesis. And so we want to do the lookup value. So in this case, our lookup value is going to be what we're trying to look up in the, in this instance, the example is our funding code. So I'm going to click on this because my funding code is there. Oh, yeah, I didn't fix that. So I'm just going to type in E2. It should work. Okay. So I'm in cell E2. And then because if you can see it when you have your little things here, if you hover over it with your cursor, you can see they're separated by commas. So when I'm doing this, every time I type on a cell, I'm going to click the comma once I'm done with that. So I've now chosen my my lookup value, which in this case is RTR or E2. And then next I need to do my table array. So what we need to do is click on this entire table, not the headers, but just the table here. So I am, I've got that right? Yes. We're going all the way from K. You should be able to see this K2 to L4. What we want to do to make sure that it stays on this table only, I'm going to surround it, each of those numbers in here, you'll see I'm going to type a like little money sign in front of the K and the 2. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the L and the 4. And that's, again, to keep it on that table so that it doesn't, if you drag this formula down, it would then try to do it in other rows or columns if you didn't do that. So this keeps it static. Okay, so then I'm going to press a column again. And then I need to know what column index number. So we're going to our table here when it's asking you that. And I cannot tell you how many times when I first was doing this that the column index number like confused the crap out of me. But it's looking at this table here and it's saying, do I want 1 or 2? This is column 1 and this is column 2. I want it to pull in the funding code description. So I'm going to put column 2. So I'm going to say 2, just like that. And then it's asking me, do I want a true approximate match or do I want a false exact match? I want the exact match. So I can either type true or false, or I can click on it. And since I keep typing things, I'm going to change it up just to show you. I'm going to click on false. Okay, so that's the last thing. You can do range lookup, but in this case, we don't need to. We're just going to close it now with a parenthesis. And we're going to say enter. And now in my instance, it automatically fills it. In some instances, it'll only do this like first one and you would have to like drag it down or do some other thing. But in this instance, this is what it should give you. So now you've got all of your funding descriptions filled in appropriately. But let's say you wanted to do it a little bit different way. So I'm just going to do Control Z. I'm going to take everything out of here. We're going to stick with these same names. Thank you. They're awesome. So we're just going to stick with them. But what we're going to do is it's a little bit different. For an X lookup, we're going to, instead of saying V lookup, we're going to say X lookup like this. And I type it. I'm going to do my open parentheses, and it's going to ask me for my lookup value again. So I know that the value I'm looking for is in E2. So I'm just going to go like this and say E2, just like that, because I know where it's at. And so in this instance, before what we did was we highlighted the entire table. But now what we're going to do is we're going to highlight the columns individually of the data. So the first thing we're going to do is we want to do the lookup array. The lookup array is what the funding code is in this instance. So it's whatever code you're trying to define or whatever you're trying to give a new value to. So in this instance, it's going to be, we're going to come over to our lookup table and we're going to highlight this first column here. And we're going to do the same thing that we did before. We're going to put the money sign, currency sign in front of the K, then the 2. And then we're going to come over here and we're going to do the money sign in front of the K and the 4. I think there's probably a little shortcut for doing some of that, but I don't remember what it is at the moment. But maybe at some point we can get to that. So we've done the lookup array. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a comma, and now we want to do the return array. The return array is, in this case, it's the description. It's what we want to return as the item that we're looking up. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight that column. I'm going to do the exact same thing I did with the other stuff, and I'm going to put currency sign. Oops, careful not to go too far. And I'm going to do currency sign in front of the letter and the number. So L and 2. So I've got a currency number or sign in front of the L again here, and then the 4. And again, this locks in the columns that you're using for your lookup. So I'm going to do another comma, and it's going to say, if not found, what do we type in here? So this is where we want to say what happens if, say, if there's a code under funding code that's blank. What do we want it to do? So anytime you want to have it fill in like a new, what I would call a new code, or a new option, you have to start it with a quotation mark. So we put a quotation mark, and in this case, we're going to put what did we say? Code not found. Just like that. And then you have to close it with another quotation mark. And then you're going to do your parentheses. Oh, I guess I don't have to do that. I can just do my parentheses just like that. And now it's done the exact same thing. But see, there's going to be a difference here with our handy dandy little filter here. Before, we didn't have a code not found, it was just blank. So now you can see that we can see how many of these have code not found. There were 3 clients that didn't have a funding code description or a funding code for their case. So that could be from a compliance perspective, any of you out there doing any kind of grant reporting or anything like that, this might be problematic. Oh, I need to go back and fix this or something like that. Does that make sense to everybody? And we're close to the end, I know. Split cells is at the end. It's concatenate. I keep saying it wrong. We've been teasing myself all week or since last week, but I can try to do that one real fast if you want. But are there questions?
We had a question about how to create a sheet to begin with. You get the
Oh.
data. How do you create a worksheet? So
Okay, that's great. That's a great easy question, I think. Okay, so we've got a bunch of sheets on here already, but say you want to add a new sheet. Is that, I hope, is what you're asking? There's a little plus sign right here. You can do.
No, I think the question was how to create a table out of your raw data.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's great. Okay. So, let me just take a little subset. So I'm going to take a little subset of this data here, and I'm going to copy it. I've highlighted a chunk of the dummy data and I've done Control C. I'm going to go over just so that I can show you. I'm going to create a new sheet here. So I've got a sheet here. And now what I want to do is I'm just going to paste this. I don't want to paste it. Oh, I didn't do it. Hold on. Let's see. Come over here. Copy. Oh, I should have noticed since it wasn't highlighted. You'll notice that it's doing whatever it needs to with that. Okay, so I'm going to come over here and I'm going to paste. I just want to do values because I don't want it to be a table right now. I want to show you how to do it. So this is my data. I know that this is my header row. I know that the rows are my rows of data. You're on your home. Let me make this bigger for you. You're on your home ribbon here. You're going to click on insert, and then you're going to click on table like that. And it's going to say, ask you, there's a thing, it automatically checks it most of the time, but my table has headers. This gives you your range here and you click yes. And now you've got a table inserted already. Is that what you were asking? I hope. Yes.
Yes, I think that was it. We were just, we struggle a lot with that. Sometimes folks will try to sort without creating a table and break the associations between the columns.
Oh, yeah. See, and when you do insert a table, so it can cause other issues, which I was trying to avoid when I was showing you. It's just that, like, when you go and you're doing your formulas, instead of doing the cells, it can also, like, see how it says table 3 at case close reason. It can make things a little bit funky. So that might be something, Shelley, for the, when you get into the series a little bit further, that's something that can be a sticking point for people. But I would maybe put that as a specific issue out for Shelley so that maybe it can be addressed, maybe present like an example of data or something that's maybe de-identified or something. And we can do it, or somewhere in the series we can address it more specifically to make sure we capture it for you. Other question. Well, I'm glad it was helpful. Oh, yay.
awesome. So I want to throw the workbooks again in the chat. And as I've put in the chat several times, the recording will be posted to the event page. And we will also be putting the recording on our YouTube channel. I will also link to the workbook and the spreadsheet on the event page, so they will also always be a reference for you there. And we are working on making this a series because we had such response. So we will be looking at this. We are also looking at other programs. If there's something that would be helpful to you, whether you use Word or Outlook, please let us know. We'd love to get your feedback and to make sure that the programming that we're offering is as useful to as many people as possible. So thank you so much for being here. Jesse and Kelly, thank you so
Yeah.
much. I look forward to having a chance to actually pay attention to the whole thing, because there at the beginning, I was a little busy letting everybody in. So I'm going to go back and watch it all over again. But thank you so much for being with us today. We hope that this was helpful. Please give us feedback if you found it great. If you have other suggestions, we're open to both positive and negative feedback, because we can improve if we don't know what the problems are. So thank you. Hope you have a great afternoon, and we'll see you at a future workshop, we hope.
Thanks everybody for joining.
Thanks, everyone.